Okay, I finally decided to make this video because I was just scrolling through YouTube after like a long basketball session and just randomly reading, not reading but like watching some of the podcasts of like two people debating about one specific topic. And this one offended me to a large degree. It's like it's like a one and a half hour long video, so my reaction video would be split into like a few parts so that it won't bore like it won't seem very boring or like just the pure length of the video would scare people off. But I have to react to this because this is a lot of information that this person, Mr. Jesse Lee Peterson, is giving, and yeah, it's not a good look. So here we go. Let's try to like stay calm, or hell, maybe like you could get even angrier than I am right now. But like that's that's a pretty fair thing to do. Uh, I'll post this video, all of these videos on like Instagram and YouTube. So just know, like, if if you want to check it out, like check out my YouTube channel as well. This is probably my first video ever, but still very ridiculous. But gotta go through that shit. But alright, here we go. So I'll just play the video at the background and then like have you guys hear what's going on instead of like showing the whole video because like there isn't like a lot of animations in it. Like it's just like a Zoom meeting where there's a host on the like at the bottom left corner. There's Jesse Lee Peterson's camera on the top left. There's like Professor Dave explains icon on the not icon but like his camera on the top right, and then some of the like please subscribe type of things like on the bottom right. So but like there's not any animations there, so I'll just play it at the background and let you guys hear it. But very ridiculous that what Jesse Lee Peterson said, and I'm sure any of you will get offended, and I'll try to give my opinion like in a calm way, but that would be a tough thing to do. So here we go.
Hey everybody, today we're debating SJW ethics, outrage culture, and more, and we are starting right now.
Oh god. Oh god.
Amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, thrilled to have you here for another epic discussion, as we have two very distinguished guests. This is going to be a lot of fun, folks. So, by the way, if it's your first time here, consider hitting that subscribe button, as we have a lot more debates coming up. So, for example, this...
Ooh. So I'll try to make every video like 10 to 15 minutes long so that the length wouldn't scare people off. Side note, let's jump back into the debate.
Friday, we are very excited that we'll have on Jonathan Sheffield and Matt Dillahunty debating on whether or not the Gospels were authored by Jesus' own disciples. So that should be a lot of fun.
So there's a little bit of an ad there, but okay, sure.
And want to let you know as well, as you're listening today, and as you're listening and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't get enough of this guy. I want to hear more. I need to hear more. I've put their links in the description. So that way, while you're listening, if you want to hear more, conveniently, you can just go right down to that description box for this video and click on their links to hear more. So with that, I'm going to let you know that it's just a very easygoing kind of style today, just a conversation. I will get the ball rolling by just asking one or two questions, and then I might step in and add another question if it seems like the conversation is starting to die down. We are going to have a Q&A at the end, which should be about 25 to 30 minutes. So if you have a question, feel free to fire it into the old live chat, and I will pull those questions into a list. Following that, I will ask as many at least that we can get to during the Q&A. Obviously, we probably won't get to all of them. Also, super chats are an option, in which case you can ask a question or make a comment toward one of the speakers if you're doing a super chat.
Q&A.
And a super chat will also push your question or comment to the top of the list for the Q&A. We ask that whether it be a question or a comment in your super chats or questions, that you just be your regular friendly selves, as we really do appreciate our guests being here with us today, who I am about to introduce. So with that, want to let you know, on your left, Jesse Lee Peterson, also known as Reverend Jesse Lee Peterson, is an author, activist, pastor, counselor, and the host of the Jesse Lee Peterson radio show and the popular YouTube series The Fallen State. And he writes for WND.com and is founder and president of Bond, a nationally recognized nonprofit in its 29th year, dedicated to rebuilding the family by rebuilding the man. Also, you may have seen him on Fox News, CNN,
weird,
BET,
okay.
C-SPAN, InfoWars, The Young Turks, and or heard him on national radio programs, including the Sean Hannity Show. So a lot of appearances.
I've
and
watched, like,
if you have somehow
20 to
not
40
heard of
minutes
Dave
prior to
Farina,
recording
he is
this
on
reaction
your
vid,
right and has the
but,
juggernaut science
note that
YouTube
he's
channel
black.
called Professor Dave Explains. So I've gotten to see the content of both of these guys, and as mentioned, both of them, I put their links down in the description so you can check them out, folks. So with
Alright, by the way, check out Professor Dave. That channel is actually good. It's not about like social sciences and stuff or like politics, but you'll enjoy the videos there.
that, we do really just want to say first, thanks so much for being with us today, guys.
Have me on. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. And with that, we will jump into this conversation. I guess one of the more controversial ones we will start is the degree to which racism is a problem in our country today. In particular, I'll just ask, we can go first, we'll just go left to right with Jesse, and then to Dave. Jesse, do you think that racism is a significant problem in our country today?
Not at all. Racism has never been a problem in this country at all. And you're hearing this from someone who grew up in Alabama. I was born and raised in Alabama. I was raised on a plantation there under the Jim Crow laws. And we didn't have this so-called racial problem at that time. And it's a made-up word by the so-called black civil rights leaders, the white liberals who have no values. They love what's evil and hate what's good. And so this word racism.
Wait. Pause. How do you define evil and good? I hope there's an explanation for that, but probably not. But that's a little bit confusing.
It's just made up to divide and conquer, to control the blacks by causing them to vote for whomever they want to vote for, and at most of the time it's for Democrats.
Divide
and also it's to
what? Divide and conquer? I mean, like, what he's saying here is saying that racism is a term to divide black people so that other people could conquer them. Don't know what the word conquer means in this context, but what the hell? I mean, racism, the word represents like hateful actions on a particular race. One particular race. And it divides people in the same race when they have a common enemy that's suppose like whoever exerts racism, that whatever that thing is. So what's your logic here? You're kind of contradicting yourself, but okay, sure.
Put fear in white people in order to make them feel guilty about nothing and use them for personal gain. There's no such thing as racism at all. It has always been a lie, and it's a lie today.
Got it. We'll kick it over to Dave.
God damn.
Okay. I mean, that's a wow. You just said that you grew up on a plantation and racism doesn't exist. So you grew up where slavery happened, where black.
Yeah, by the way, Jesse Lee Peterson grew up in Alabama. So there's that.
People were enslaved by white people, and you're a black person, and you grew up in the Jim Crow laws and you're saying racism doesn't exist. I mean, that just like it's hard for me to compute
Yeah.
the cognitive dissonance that's overflowing in that statement. I don't know if you can clarify
when slavery
what you mean
happened,
by that.
when slavery happened 150 years ago, it was about slavery.
Yeah.
It wasn't about racism.
What?
The Arabs.
You don't think it's racist? You don't think it's racist for one race to enslave another race?
Yeah.
How's that not racism?
So are you saying that when the blacks were in Africa and they were enslaved by other blacks,
You don't
was
have
that
to do this.
racism?
It's a real place.
Was that racism?
Sure, yeah.
No, it wasn't.
Whoa,
why
whoa,
not?
pause here. So, isn't the context racism in America? Why are you bringing the topic to Africa? Why is this a thing here?
In Africa, mommy Africa, blacks were being used by the so-called rich blacks, the ones that were leading, and they were using blacks as money when they made deals. And at some point, the Arabs went to Africa. The Arabs went to Africa and captured, and in many cases, bought the blacks from the blacks in Africa, and they sold them around the country. And even in this country, there were black people who owned slaves. So it was.
I don't know much about the history of Africa, but you can't say that white people owning black people is not racism. How is that not racism? Because it's a race of people that says another race is inferior to my race.
So
how's that not racism?
Because there are blacks in this country who own other blacks as well as slaves. Are you saying they were racist too?
I mean, I'm not sure if that's true or not. I can't imagine that that's true.
It is true.
But if it is, then
racism.
Well, look, I mean, then fine. Then it's a different kind of racism. But
are you saying that is
slavery is based on white people, of black people being inferior to white people?
Dave,
that's the basis for slavery.
Dave, I just want to move forward with this. Are you saying that the blacks who own other blacks in this country during that time, were they racist as well?
I don't really know. That doesn't really reflect on the institutions.
Wait. Pause right there, man. Pause right there. He's saying his question is, it's kind of confusing. His question is, black people owning other black people as slaves, is that racism? Okay, first of all, it's the same race, but like racism is like one race exerting, like calling another race inferior. So that's not related to the problem of racism because it's the same race. So why bring up that? It's not even related to the topic.
White people, how do you know if white people are racist, but you don't know if black people are racist who are doing the same thing?
Maybe there were white people who owned slaves that weren't racist, and that was the way it was done at the time. But slavery, the institution of slavery, which was endorsed by the United States of America, was a racist institution. There were people maybe that didn't agree with it, and maybe even still owned slaves, and maybe they weren't racist. And there were politicians that owned slaves that fought to overturn slavery. So, I'm not talking about every single individual. I'm talking about the institution of slavery what could be more racist than slavery, the subjugation of a race of people.
So, Dave, are you saying that the blacks who own slaves, black slaves in this country, were they racist?
Did you not hear what I just said?
And then he asks the same question that he asked like a few minutes ago. Like, what are you doing here?
For the past minute,
you didn't answer my question.
I just answered your question.
You did not answer my question.
Just answer your question.
What?
Dave,
I said that I'm not talking about an individual. I'm talking about the institution of slavery, which is when endorsed by the American government in that time, is a racist institution. I don't need to defend a singular person. Like what a single person believed or did it has nothing to do with the institution of slavery and the laws of a nation.
So are you saying, Dave, that the institution of black people who own other black people in America during that time was that racism?
Bro,
the owning of black people.
And then asks the same question, like, what the hell are you doing? Alright, let's cut for part 1 here. Part 2 will come up very soon.